Okay, this is lesson 3.6, multiplying matrices. So when you multiply matrices, it is nothing like adding matrices, adding or subtracting matrices. With adding and subtracting, the size of the matrix had to be the same, and that is not the case for multiplication. So the first thing, so say we have a matrix that's a 3 by 4, so matrix A is a 3 by 4, so this is the size of the matrix, the 3 by 4, and matrix B is a 4 by 2. And the directions say determine if you can determine whether each matrix product is defined. So basically you're saying, can you multiply A times B? Okay? So A is a 3 by 4 and B is a 4 by 2. I don't know what the actual matrix looks like. I just know the size of them is a 3 by 4 and a 4 by 2. Okay, so so what I would do is when you have a matrix, which we're going to do this here in a second, the first thing you want to do is make sure you get the dimensions. So these are the dimensions, and then you write the dimensions beside each other like these two are. And then if these two numbers match, so remember this number is the column of matrix A, and this one is the rows of matrix B. So if the column and the rows match, then you can multiply them. So this one is defined, you can multiply them. And then the answer, the size of the answer is going to be the outside number, so the 3 by 2. So A times B would be the size of the matrix would be a 3 by 2. Remember, that's 3 rows and 2 columns. So 3 rows and 2 columns. So that's the size of the matrix. Again, we don't have the matrices, we just know the dimensions of them right now. So the next one is A is a 5 by 3 and B is a 5 by 4. A is a 5 by 3 and B is a 5 by 4. So we want to know, can you multiply A times B? Again, you write the dimensions, which they already did that part for us, and then you look at those two numbers. Let me make that a little bit bigger. There we go. If those two numbers match, then you can multiply them. So those two numbers in this case do not match, so this one is not defined. So A times B is not defined. Okay? Say A is a 3 by 2 and B is a 3 by 2. So these are the same exact size, which if this was addition or subtraction, you would want them to be the same size. But with multiplying, you do not want them necessarily to be the same size. You just need to see if these two numbers match. So again, A is a 3 by 2 and B is a 3 by 2. And again, you look at those two numbers. If they do not match, you cannot multiply them. So these are not defined. Or A times B is not defined. It says defined, if you can't read that. The next one, A is a 4 by 6 and B is a 6 by 2. A is a 4 by 6 and B is a 6 by 2. A 4 by 6 and a 6 by 2. Again, you want the columns in the first one and the rows in the second one to match, and if they do, then the size of the answer is going to be a 4 by 2. It's the rows of the first one and the column of the second one. So this one is defined. A times B would be, the size of it would be a 4 by 2. That's 4 by 2 columns. Okay, so now that you have that, now we're going to actually multiply them. But before you multiply them, before I give you matrices, you need to look first to see if they can be multiplied. Otherwise, you're going to do all this work for no reason. Now, normally, I'll show you what's behind this box. While you write, I'll talk. So normally, I would spend 2 days on this lesson because there is a way to multiply matrices by hand. It's a lot of work. And then there's a way to multiply matrices using the calculator. In the past, not everybody had access to a calculator, so I would have to show both ways. However, now we do have access to the calculator on your computer, so I'm just going to show you the one way to do it because you have access. Now, first of all, we need to determine the size. Remember, it's rows by columns, so X is a 2 by 2. It's 2 rows, 2 columns. This one is a 2 by 2, 2 rows, 2 columns. Okay. To multiply X times Y, it's a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2. You want these two to match, and they do. So your answer is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. So let's go ahead and build a 2 by 2 matrix. It's probably way too large. I'm just going to put lines where we're going to put a number. Okay? Now I'm going to show you how to use your calculator. So what I would suggest that you do, and pause the video if you need to get set up, but you need to split screen your calculator and this video. So like I have it here. Okay? So we need to put the matrix in times this matrix. And it's not as simple as taking 6 times -5. It is not that simple. With multiplication, it's totally different. And again, I could show you how to do it by hand, but we have the calculator, so we're just going to use the calculator. So clear the memory on your calculator. Okay. So what you're going to do is you need to type in matrix X because they want X times Y. So to do that, you're going to hit alpha, which is the green key. It just highlighted in red. Y equals. So normally we go there to get our fraction bar, but we're going to go alpha Y equals, and we're going to arrow over twice where you see it says MTRX. That stands for matrix. And then here, my cursor is on OK right now. So if I wanted to go up and change the number of rows, I would just go to the number and hit enter, and then it would change the number of rows. So I just changed this to a 3 by 2. However, both of ours are a 2 by 2, so I'm going to arrow up to the 2 and hit enter. So that's how you tell the calculator how big you need the matrix to be, okay? So I need a 2 by 2, so I'm going to hit enter. I'm sorry, I got to be on OK first. Go down to OK. There we go. Now hit enter. Okay, so it gave me the 2 by 2. So I need to type that in. Now, do not hit enter. You're going to use the arrow key, and you'll see it's highlighted up in red right now. And then don't use the dash key for negative either, because that won't work. And then I'm just using my arrow key to go down. And then I'm going to go over and type in -10. Okay, so I got my X. I'm going to arrow over outside of the matrix. I'm going to hit times because we're taking X times Y. Now I need to get another 2 by 2 matrix. So I'm going to hit alpha Y equals, arrow over twice. Okay, I need another 2 by 2. It's already highlighted 2 by 2, so I'm just going to hit enter. So it gave me an empty 2 by 2 matrix. Now I'm going to type in Y, -5, -4, 3, and 3. Again, I never hit enter when I was typing in those numbers. I used the arrow keys, okay? So, and they're all being highlighted in red right now. So just use those keys there. Once you're outside the matrix, now you can hit enter because I did X times Y. And that is your answer. So I'm going to go back to my notes. I'm going to write in those numbers on my notes. So -39. Let me change the color. -39. -33. 44. And 34. Okay. That's your answer. Okay. And again, you can see it's not as simple as taking 6 times -5, because that doesn't give you -39, and so it's not the same thing as addition. Addition, you can just add like locations. Multiplication, it's nothing like that. Maybe in class one day I'll actually show you how to do it by hand just really quick so you can see that using the calculator is much simpler. Okay, so we're going to do one more, I believe is all that's in our notes. So let me see, I need next page. Here we go. So go ahead and write that down on your notes. I'm going to clear my calculator. I'm just going to clear my screen, not clear the whole thing. So once you have it written down, you need to determine the size of them to see if we can even multiply them. So this first one is how many rows and how many columns. So it's 2 rows, 2 columns. So it's a 2 by 2. Oh, sorry about that. There we go. And then the next one is how many rows and how many columns. So there's 2 rows, 1, 2, 3 columns. So it's a 2 by 3. Rows and then columns. Okay, and then you need to determine if you can multiply. Remember, these 2 numbers need to match. Let me make that larger. Those 2 numbers need to match, and if they do, then this is the size of the answer. It's going to be a 2 by 3 matrix. 2 by 3 means 2 rows and 3 columns. 2 rows and 3 columns. Okay. Now we need to go type that into the calculator, multiply those 2 matrix. So again, to get the matrix, I hit alpha, y equals, arrow over to matrix. Now I need a 2 by 2, it's highlighted 2 by 2, so I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to type those in, -5, use my arrow key, -6, use my arrow key to go down, -2, use my arrow key to go over, and then -1. Then I'm going to go outside of my matrix, hit the times key. I actually don't think you have to put the times sign there. And then, because it automatically knows if you put 2 things next to each other, it's understood to be multiplication. Hit alpha, y equals, arrow over twice to matrix. Now, I need a 2 by 3 matrix for the second one. So I need to arrow up into the column and go up to 3. So see my cursor is on 3 now, and I hit enter, and then it changed it to a 2 by 3. So 2 rows, 3 columns. I'm going to arrow down to OK and hit enter. Now it gave me a 2 by 3. So it looks like to be the same size as the problem that's on my notes. So I'm going to hit 6, arrow over, -3, arrow over, -1, arrow down, -2, arrow over, 0, that one's good, arrow over to the last one, -1. The order that you do these in does not matter. Just make sure you use the arrow key and don't hit enter. If you hit enter, you got to start over. And now you can hit enter because now you're done entering everything in. I'm just going to double check my numbers and just make sure I don't have any typos. And I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to put those numbers on my notes. -24, 15, 17, -4, 3, and 5. Okay, that's all there is to multiplying. And maybe in class I'll show you the whole process to do it by hand, but for now, that's how you do it. Now, you can use this to add matrices, but you can see how long it takes to type them in. And I honestly think adding matrices or subtracting matrices, it's almost just easier just to do it by hand because it's quicker. But multiplying, it's definitely quicker to use the calculator, okay? But, you know, you could do these problems, you can do addition and subtraction in your calculator too. If you just want to just make sure you get it right, you can do that. It just takes more time, obviously. And I believe that is it for the notes. Let me just check. Yep. So that completes lesson 3-6.